We had an officially Wizards of the Coast sanctioned dungeon master who zoomed in and helped our cast play a D&D campaign.
Like that torch, boys.
This is the worst decision since that cantrip about water.
But with all the hype surrounding the film Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, we have seen the cast of this film together during interviews playing some funny games back when we showed you the bloopers and gag reel.
You may be surprised to learn I wasn't always a thief. I'm always drawn to characters that think more highly of themselves than perhaps they're seen in the world. He kind of looks like a hero, and you think he should be a hero, and then you scratch a little bit below the surface, and you realize he's, a complete screw-up. I wouldn't put it like that, but, yeah.
Today we'll be showing you the behind the scenes of how they put this film together, including the armor and the creativity behind the creators. So let's go ahead and jump right into it.
3/4 of this film or more is action and running and jumping and crashing and bashing. Jumping through windows attached to bird people and crashing in snow.
But before we get into more of these moments, some trivia for you. What British comedy trope inspired the film quite a bit? Leave your guesses in the comments down below and stick around to the end of the video to find out if your answer was correct.
Who has the highest modifier?
Michelle, as Holga, approached things from a very literal perspective and is like, can I beat this thing to death? Rather than create any kind of strategy to take it down.
First, we can hear from the cast and the making of particular scenes, or just how detailed the scenes were and the little details that were put in regarding the spells.
There are certain spells that are used, little tiny details that they add in that I think only D&D players will catch.
Braid.
Chris is incredibly funny. I am surprised that I've never seen that before in his work because, man, it's really cool.
During the Around the Table segment, where the cast sit down and just go over the film, including how the cast prepared for their roles and the script, we get to hear from them and the directors.
Everything was pretty scripted. John and Jonathan had a clear idea of what they wanted to do from the beginning, and there's really great comedy writers, so we trusted them. I actually really like all the stunt stuff. All the wire stuff, the underwater stuff, because it gets me out of my head, I don't have time to think.
When it comes to the costume designs, some of the actors even chimed in explaining how their costumes felt when they were filming. Regé-Jean Page said he hated his costume. You're hot all day, he revealed. You can't sit, the sweat goes nowhere, it just kind of hangs out. It becomes a scuba suit, just with your own juices.
We wanted to sort of not spoof the genre in any way, really embrace it and show our affection for it, but bring characters to life within the genre who feel like they could have been friends of yours with humor.
He also plays the lute.
Holga, not relevant.
Yeah, I think he's the first major character in a movie to have a lute as a weapon, I think.
We get to hear more about the costume design when Amanda Monk, responsible for costume designs, answers some questions regarding what went into the costumes and what was important, saying, "We wanted to create memorable, heroic costumes for our principal cast that perfectly reflect their character and alignment."
Being blown back by, fat dragons.
Off the hill of bones?
Fun fact, stank of fish.
Oh, it smells like freaking fish.
The Hill of Bones absolutely reeked of fish because the bones were mostly ground up seashells.
There were many early concept discussions using concept artists to reach the characters through color, texture, and tone. But it is, of course, necessary to do the research and try to enter the world of any project or period.
I thought I heard a faint echo of Monty Python going on. Certainly that whole sequence with dug up dead warriors is very Monty Python.
Can somebody please ask me another question?
The barbarians are human. They don't have magic. Their power is pretty much their passionate fury.
Even going as far as collaborating closely with actors like Chris Pine, having him wear that adventurer leather jacket that fit his character, but detailed enough and a functional item that suited Chris himself and his character.
But yeah, it basically was super awesome. You're at the top of this hill, you get all wired up, they fire the air cannon at you, and you literally just fly backwards at 1,000 miles an hour.
And we all go flying in midair.
All right, stand by, here we go.
For Simone, the sorcerer, it was our opportunity to add some color and interesting features. We lined his cloak with spell-making charms and embroidered magic symbols within his costume.
This isn't some bedtime story. This is the real world. You know, and that's in the spirit of the game too. Like, you only have a certain amount of spell slots, so you can't just like use magic for everything. But it's also making this world more nuanced. Just in one line, like, Jonathan achieved so many messages.
We also wanted to give a shout out to our DC Thursday winner. If you guys didn't know, we ask a challenging DC related trivia question over on our community tab. You answer it correct, you get a chance to have your answer featured here in one of our videos.
What are you doing to me?
You sure I can't help?
I'm certain.
Well, okay, I'll leave.
I'm so sorry. I hit you hard with that thing.
It's also great when we get to see the creatures of said movie.
A giant brain that consumes other brains, like some kind of awful brain cannibal. The higher the intelligence of the prey, the more likely they are to strike.
Oh, that's a little hurtful.
Interestingly enough, there was actually a D&D expert who was on the set just to make sure that the rules of the game were followed. We had an advisor on set who knew all those rules inside and out, and she would lean in and tell us, okay, for this spell, technically you'd have to do this and this, Goldstein said.
Our stunt team said that they had never put so many primary actors in one wire stunt in their entire careers.
I think that was a first for everyone.
So we would try to honor those things in every opportunity we had. Of course, everyone knows that the rules contain 120 spells, 5 backgrounds, and character sheets.
It's such a complicated procedure, especially when you read it in the script. It took me so many times to understand what they were doing. Like any heist film, there's so many pieces involved that have to go exactly right for the heist to work. But then, in addition to that, we have gravity-defying portal.
The world is set in a fairy tale land of swords and sorcery, and the creators did well with bringing this fictional world to life, even though this isn't the first Dungeons and Dragons movie.
I remember like going to John and Jonathan like, tell me that like when I turn on the barbarian power, my eyes are gonna light up and we're gonna have like some super fusion moment, you know? And they're like, no. Yeah! It's just an inner passion. And I'm like, what do you mean inner passion? You mean my eyes don't light up, dude?
The directors joined a couple of the cast members during an interview, and we learned the director's mindset when figuring out how to have this film viewed by the audience.
You know, we definitely played by the rule of cool when it came to how much we adhere to the game mechanics. You know, very often I think we do have a lot of turn-based action, and all the spells and monsters and creatures that they come across are authentic to the lore.
Sophia Lillis praises her other cast members when she talks about her character and how it was created.
Going about the woods and turning into animals, which is what my character does as a tiefling. Michelle with Holga. I don't know who else could do that role other than Michelle.
And bringing a game like this to life, it takes a lot of creativity with not only taking something that's fairy tale, but going by the rules and aspects of the game and the inspiration coming from it.
I mean, Justice didn't want to get down off the wires. He was a daredevil.
All the adrenaline resides and you're like, oh shit, that was like a lot of fun. You want to go again, and they're like, oh, we got it, we don't need to do it. And you're like, oh man.
Balls and clean, new deal.
And they didn't let us do it again. Single tear.
And of course, with this film, there are a lot of special effects that go into it, not only from the magic perspective, but the stunts involving jumping off of buildings or the hand-to-hand combat with the battle axes and weapons they use for the film.
Being Michelle and how she played Holga, I can't imagine anyone different.
What a character Holga is, but also what a character Michelle is. She's just pure energy and good fun.
She's smashed it. Like, she's just Holga. Like, that's it.
And the cast chimes in, explaining that this was a brutal set to be on, considering a ton of the scenes involved some sort of stunt. And we get to see what exactly went into that, whether it was wire work or a choreographed fighting sequence.
Boom, 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 boom.
Someone like Regé-Jean's character, this paladin, has incredible fight.
I find that the physicality of characters is kind of key to how you get into them, so I'm always keen to step into the fighting, step into what kind of discipline.
And as far as the answer to our trivia question, it was Monty Python that inspired the film. Our favorite thing is mashed up genres and doing it in a way where you can be scared one moment and laughing the next, Goldstein said.
And lock ourselves in.
That was awesome.
We never want to go too far when it becomes a spoof of fantasy films, but we also wanted to be able to pivot from something creepy and traditional fantasy to an absurd, almost Monty Python type sequence.
They're like, it's a sword, and I was like, I'm interested. That's also a knife. Come in.
We wanted the image of the blade to light up, and we put a load of LEDs and a power source within that.
It lights up. It goes from a sword into a dagger. I'm like, I couldn't think of a better weapon.
But we wanted to turn this around to you guys. What scene was the most interesting to hear about, and was there something that you didn't know before? Let us know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on for more videos just like this. That's it for today though. We'll see you all next time with a brand new video.
Justice, I swear on all that's holy.
It's a part of my process.
It's not a part of your process.
Good? Thank you.